Thank you for joining us today on Louder Than Green. Today we have a very exciting guest, and if you're building anything sustainable, regenerative, or just smarter than the status quo, you're in the right place. For those of you just joining the podcast, we are Green That Dream, and we specialize in helping businesses not just go green, but flourish. We focus on strategies that support people, planet, and profits by improving operations and managing resources. So if you're ready to take your business to the next level, stick around. And if you want a free growth consultation, head over to greenthatdream.com or just DM us the word growth. Now let's get into it. Welcome to Louder Than Green, the show where we dig into what it really takes to build a better business. We're not just talking about sustainability on the surface, but operationally sound, strategically aligned, and built to last. We talk with people doing the work, unpacking the systems, decisions, challenges behind businesses that are trying to do things differently. Today's guest is Charlton Becker. He is the founder of Charlton Becker Catering and the creator of Flavorfulz, an amazing edible spoon company that's been recognized as one of the top trend-setting products in the food industry. He has spent the last over years running a full-service catering business in Boston, executing hundreds of high-end events while building a reputation for both quality and innovation. Now he's combining real-world hospitality experience with product development to create something truly different in the food space. Thank you so much for being here, Charlton.
Thank you for having me, Aimee.
Yeah. So, Charlton, you've built both a high-end catering operation and a physical product in Flavorfulz, which are two very different businesses. So, I really want to unpack both sides of that.
Mhm.
Can you tell me a little bit about both sides of that and how you break down both of those businesses between the two?
Yeah, so just to give you a little background, I've been a chef for 30 years. I started my catering business in 2015. This is after working at many hotels. For Diamond was the last one I was at. And I said, you know what? I really would like to do this. And somebody asked me actually to do their 30th birthday off of a boat cruise, and I catered it. And I did all the menu, all the stuff I love to do from scratch. I think I called it Menu for All Occasions. So I came up with the menu, I prepped it out of my apartment, I got it on the boat in time with some friends' help. And it was just, that energy I felt. I hadn't felt that energy. And I said to myself, this is what I want to do. So I had one guy I met out of all places, an Argentinian tango class, Jack Milan, catered for 35 years. And he still had his catering business. And he agreed to meet with me. We met in a flower cafe bakery early January 2015. Best 2 hours I've ever had with somebody. He just started me right off on the right foot. And that's how it started. Jack referred me to some of his old clients that didn't want to cater anymore. He stopped catering a year after I started in 2017. He said, you know what? I'm retiring. I've had this edible spoon business, Edibles by Jack.
Yeah.
I don't do any side gigs. I'm either marketing, I'm catering, or I'm selling spoons.
Nice.
So a couple of years ago, I decided people kept thinking edibles and the term edibles, and Jack's no longer with the company. So finally, I came up with the name Flavorfulz. And 2 years ago, I rebranded it. So first thing I did with the spoons, people had to call or email for an order. The first thing I did, I was working with the company, hosting both websites, the spoons and the catering. And I worked with them for about a month, and finally I gave up, and I called my buddy, and he worked for Digitas. He knew all this stuff. And he says, dude, they're building your website out of an app. I'll build it from scratch and I'll put everything in. I'll work with you. And he did. One thing he had mentioned, you should probably rebrand the name. And I had a business partner that kind of held me back from that. And 2 years ago, finally, that I'm now sole owner. So I now have the two websites, an online store, and really the biggest thing for both businesses at this point is creating awareness of a product that people need to understand and educate them. I go B2B with pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
Hotels, catering companies, restaurants, every hospitality industry you could think of, all in the higher end sector for the spoons and for catering. Catering
Mm-hmm.
is mostly investment companies. I just did Boston Children's Hospital yesterday, pharmaceutical companies, retirement parties, board meetings, happy hours, stuff like that. Obviously, we did a lot larger numbers pre-pandemic, and it's been a smaller number since, but there's still business there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. So, which side is your primary driver right now for revenue wise?
Really both. Think the catering has always been the number one as far as revenue goes, but
Mhm.
I've been working towards reversing that. I really want the spoons to be the breadwinner.
Yeah,
And that's what I'm pushing towards because I know the potential it has. Spoons I can sell all over the country. Like you said, your
right.
husband works for a large company that does events for 1,000 people, right? I'm not catering gigs for 1,000 people.
Yeah,
So it's a lot more scalable. For catering, I
right.
would have to hire a ton of people, chefs,
Mhm. Mhm.
salespeople. It takes a lot more money and space to grow a catering business. An edible
Mhm.
spoons company, I might have to hire 3 more people and buy another Robocoup. That's it.
Right.
It's a lot easier to scale it. I have a lot more fun with it. And don't get me wrong, I love to cook, but really it's creativity is what I love the most.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, catering's a lot of work. Like that is a lot of work. And I hear you and feel you on that. Like just trying to do the other one that can be done like scalable a lot more easily. How are you what's your facilities like or what does that look like for the manufacturing of the spoons?
So we have a whole kitchen just primarily focused for spoons. We'll do
Okay.
some cold prep out of there for catering, but it's a whole
Mhm.
kitchen just for spoons. We've got a 40-quart Hobart mixer that we mix the larger doughs, and then we have
Yeah.
a Robocoup that we mix, as producing we do our doughs. So yeah,
Yeah. So between catering or the spoons, what's like the most complex part of your operation that most people really never see or know about?
all the spoons are made by hand.
Okay.
No other company I would say in the world is doing that. Anytime I've seen a manufacturing of edible spoons that somebody else is doing, it's all machine based,
Hmm.
which really makes a difference in the quality of the product at the end of the day.
Yeah. How does it make a difference?
We're using fresh ingredients. We're making a consistent product. We are baking it in porcelain. Nobody else is doing that because it gives that nice crispy cracker. So
Yeah.
you want basically your end product is a nice thin cracker with a good amount of flavor that will pair well with what you're serving in it. Some of them are thicker than others, like the wasabi sesame, I would say, and the gingerbread are thicker ones,
Yeah.
and they hold
Yeah.
up really well. And some of the thinner ones, like the Italian herb, Parmesan black pepper, and the Parmesan basil.
Yeah.
But the overall, they're very different than.
Yeah.
Are you pulling some out?
I am. I am. Because I just want to show people like it is. So we tried them too. Like they're so thin and light, and that is makes a huge difference with the flavor and just the edibility of it. So that was something that my husband commented on was like they are definitely thinner. And I think that does make the product a lot more appealing. So I just wanted
Yeah.
to show people that you were kind enough to send me some. So my husband gets to play with them. But yeah, that's so awesome. So what are some of your systems and processes that have made the biggest difference in keeping things running well for your business?
This is a relationship business. You can have the best slider roll in the country. I mean, we have edible spoons. Nobody else has that, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when I'm trying to gain new prospective customers, whether it's catering or whether it's spoons, they're going to look at the product themselves and they're going to say, this is a little bit more expensive than what I'm paying for, let's say, bamboo or even maybe another edible spoon, right? But this guy will get the product. I had a customer that's been ordering me for years, and the post office is kind of starting to go downhill. And this is where it comes to service. A lot of these companies are being pressured, and their services are not as good. They're starting to be more limited. So we had a spoon order going to Connecticut that was shipped to Connecticut overnight, and then all of a sudden it's in Virginia the next day. So he wasn't going to get his spoons on time for an event. He had a bar mitzvah that evening or that afternoon, actually. So I drove 2.5 hours to deliver his product and actually meet him in person.
Nice. That's some service.
He's he's been using my product for years and he'll be a lifelong customer. That's the
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're building relationships. I can have any chef text or call me and say, "Hey, I got some event coming up. What do you recommend for, flavors and do you have a fruit spoon?" "Yeah, we got a wild blueberry." Like,
Mhm.
I know where all the ingredients come from that go in each spoon. I also
Mhm.
know because I'm a customer of my own product with catering, I know what my customers like, what my clients love, what the wow factor is.
Mhm.
That's the difference. My hands touch everything. Like I know
Yeah.
I know it from start to finish. And
Yeah.
that knowledge gives me power. And
Yeah.
building those relationships is what makes the difference, because they're going to come around. They're going to be like, all right, we emailed this company for edible spoons months ago and I haven't heard anything back. I
Hmm.
called this kid and he got it to the post office that day. Like, you know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's down to customer
Yeah.
service.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, that's a huge factor, especially with other competition. Like you said, the price and stuff, that customer service can go a long ways. I'm just curious in terms of scalability with it, though, when you're talking about the quality and you being able to touch everything. Do you think it's possible to scale and maintain quality, or like how would you scale and maintain quality in customer service?
All right.
Do
So
you see it possible, like changing your manufacturing process at all?
no. Well, yes and no. I've had this business for 9 years.
Yeah.
I've been dying for this to become an issue in the 9 years I've
Yeah.
had it. I've wanted this to be a problem, and I think
Yeah.
it will be sooner than I think.
Yeah.
We can right now produce up to 3,000 spoons a day. Okay. That's just out of 3 employees. If I needed another three in a different area of the bakery, I could do that. And then that's
Yeah.
6,000 a day. I could, and that's my, and also my thinking is I'm going to test out different, I'm going to contact Chef Rubber and I'm going to say, look, I've got a 3D model of my spoons. Do you think you could build me a custom mold with our logo on the bottom and
Nice.
test that out?
Yeah.
And if that works, the next step would be, and I've already looked into it, testing out a 3D printer. And
Yeah.
not only could we make spoons with that, so the spoon would make 2 spoons at a time. We'd get, multiple machines that would drop in, and then we would bake that. If I could do that, I could make a 3D model of a cup, and I could do shooters out of that with an edible spoon, and the whole thing is edible. Or I could do straws, or whatever, cones, whatever. So
Yeah.
that's my thinking in long term. But
Yeah.
right now, for the meantime, if it's, off like next week, just this podcast goes out, right? Media gets attention of it. And all of a sudden, boom, hire 3 more people, spend money on a Robocoup and let's just do it. And I've been dying for that to happen. So I have no foreseeable issue with scalability. Yes, we do have 21 flavors, and if Parm Black is out, they can get Parm Basil. Like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, speaking of the flavors, you were talking about customizing flavors. Can you talk a bit more about your current flavors and then the option for customization?
So when I took over the business from Jack in 2017, he had 15 base flavors. I think poppy seed was his first. When I started my catering business, somebody created a logo for me. It wasn't necessarily from a graphic designer. It was just kind of a whatever, but it had these cast iron pans hanging. And the one thing I really took from what Jack and I met to that 2 hour conversation was, I created edible spoons to make me unique. What are you going to do to create something to make you unique? And I'm like, so now I'm thinking to myself, and I'm working at Wegmans, right? And I see squid ink and I think cast iron pan, squid ink. I'll make an edible cast iron pan, right? So I did that and, whatever. I used that for one event just for marketing purposes. And then sure enough, 2017, Jack sells me the business. What do I do for my first spoon? Fruity Tamari, squid ink spoon with Old Bay seasoning, done. And then I just kept going. At one point, I think I was up to like 24 flavors, and then we had to dial it down a little bit. And I've stuck with 21. But what I recently came up with an idea of was, last week, I had a caterer call me and say, I got a big event for 200 people. I'm going to be one of like a dozen caterers. And I want to be unique. What kind of spoons can I do? Do you have a fruit spoon? And I said, actually, yeah. We created this wild blueberry spoon a couple of years ago, and I took it off because nobody was buying it. He said, dude, if you can make that for me, I'm all over it. Done. So I brought that back. And then I'm thinking, I want to make a plantain spoon. And then the chef says, I want to, can you make a lemon thyme spoon? So now my thinking is, let's have a 21 base flavor and let's do custom orders for flavors that we come up with. Whether it's somebody asks, the chef says, hey, can you make this? Sure, I can make that. Custom order, minimums, and let's make a coffee spoon. Let's make a pumpernickel spoon. I mean, the sky's the limit. And that's what's fun about it. And that's the fun part about making it by hand. We can do whatever we want.
Okay.
There's no limitations.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's super. That's so great. I mean, the customization, I do think, makes it unique because there is so many different flavors it could be,
Mhm.
Yeah, that's really exciting. So I'm just curious, from obviously there's like a sustainability kind of aspect to it unintentionally, or maybe intentionally too, but like, how does that play into any of your kind of systems or marketing? Is there like a, hey, reduce the waste of your catering event by using these spoons? Is that played into your model at all?
Yeah. My favorite hashtag is have your spoon and eat it too. It's fun, it's playful,
Yeah.
and it pretty much encompasses the whole idea, right? You're not throwing away plastic, you're not throwing away bamboo. The whole reason Jack started this was he was serving hors d'oeuvres out of porcelain Asian spoons, and he
Yeah.
was getting tired of extra service coming around and collecting them. And you and I both know, your husband being a chef and catering, how much food is thrown away. Okay.
Yes.
When I prep an event, I take my sleeves of edible spoons with me. They're normally not filled ahead unless it's like creme brulee and there's no kitchen on site.
Hmm.
And with a creme brulee and a salted caramel spoon, those are not
Yeah.
going to go to waste.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I'm doing like, a seared tuna and a jicama slaw and a wasabi sesame spoon, whatever spoons are not used, they come right back to the kitchen. There is zero waste. Nobody is throwing away anything. There's no servers coming around and collecting the porcelain. There's no bamboo or plastic being thrown away. And so not only are you having a spoon with flavor that matches the flavor that goes into the spoon, that appetizer, but then you're getting the wow factor of somebody having their spoon and eating it too, and there is nothing to throw away. So it's from a creative standpoint, it's from a culinary standpoint, it's from a wowing your guest, and it's almost like a magic trick, right? Somebody takes
Hmm.
this product and puts in their spoon and it's gone. So that whole it's a performance. It's all encompassing, all in one, really.
Yeah. It's like a complete, it's definitely a complete package.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're really focusing on growing this edible spoon side of things.
hmm
And so, what does the next year or two look like for you and that effort?
I mean, really, it's scalability. Right now I'm working with a wonderful marketing team, a woman that I was in the same group with, the Luxury Collaborative networking group for years. I've known her for a long time. She knows me. She knows my product really well. And it's been exciting to work with her because we are both on the same page. She knows what kind of needs to connect. She knows, okay, people need to know that you're the chef and owner. When you go to a catering event, they need to know that you're the one that actually makes those spoons that you're serving at the event. And so she knows how to connect that. So now we're creating awareness, right? And the last couple of years, I'm on LinkedIn constantly because it's all B2B. So I'm reaching out to chefs every single day, sending them messages, following up with them, getting them samples, and ramping that up. So now I've got like MGM Resorts International in Maryland purchasing my spoons. I was at Mohegan Sun last month. Chef invited me. It's the second year in a row. Scott Conant got word of my spoons. His chef de cuisine in New York wants to put them on their, in fact, is putting them on their menu. I've got not the Capitol Grill, Morton's Grill. Morton Steakhouse nationally is interested in putting them on their menus. So the scalability, there's no limit. So all I do now is I just keep pushing. If I'm slow, I'm marketing. If I'm busy, my company market for me, and I'll just send them, whatever information they need. And that's kind of where I'm at. I've always learned in the over decade I've been doing this is that you never know where your next piece of business is going to come from. You just don't.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't have a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
Even if I did, I don't know who's going to walk in that door. So, it's a business that it's exciting, but it's also, it's something new every day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the food industry, right? It's something new every day. So what are you currently trying to figure out right now? Is there like a bottleneck or challenge that you're trying to work through?
Really, it's kind of a hurry up and wait. A lot of us in the hospitality industry have been, challenged by number one, the pandemic, and number two, now the insecurity of the market. There's literally something new every day that's going on. I don't really follow it because I just stay focused on what best gets my attention and what best gets me new business, right? Because if I focus on that, it's like forget about it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it, So I do what I can, and my thinking is that as long as I'm doing something, I'm putting one foot in front of the other, and I'm doing what I need to do.
Yeah.
Eventually something good's going to come out of that, right? There's nothing wrong with just keep pushing forward because you always
Yeah.
get something out of it, rather than just kind of stewing on, when is this going to change?
The negative.
Because it will. I mean, nothing lasts forever. Eventually something's going to change. We talked about travel. We talked about a little bit about that, but I've got two unique businesses. And as much as they're separate businesses, they go hand in hand because I use the spoons for the catering. That's what makes me unique. Also, my customer service, the fact that I'm the chef owner and you're probably going to see me at an event. I'm never going to be that huge wedding manufacturer that's just doing, weddings all year long. I keep it boutique. It's still a lot of work, but I love what I do. And when the spoons hit, they hit, but am I doing everything today to get it to that next level? 100%.
Yeah. You have such a great mindset. And I'm just curious, I don't know if that's that common. So do you read books? Do you follow certain people? Where do you get such a positive mindset?
I think recovery has been a huge thing for me.
Okay.
Building a certain mindset on a spiritual basis, focusing on gratitude, staying connected to a community, realizing that no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. Because when you're a business owner, financial insecurity is always there. No matter what you do, it's a touch and go business. It's like money's there and money disappears. That's just the nature of it, right? And you could have, $1 million in your account or $100. It doesn't matter. There's always going to be some kind of stress factor there. But if I just focus on what I can do today, right? What's in my power today? And the rest is whatever.
Yeah.
I just focus on that. I'm going to be okay. And that's what I do. That's it.
Yeah.
You see people that are famous that have been in, gone through recovery and all of a sudden they just go like this. I feel like that. Yeah. You think of famous stars, Matthew McConaughey, who's his, what do you call it? Who does he look up to? Him in 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah. No, I just love that. I'm with you. Like, I think the regular practice, right? Like gratitude and just being positive. And I love that you have that mindset and I'm sure that translates into your business and that's why you're so successful. So,
well, because I come into it with that kind of energy.
Yeah. And you attract then that positive energy, right? So
exactly.
That's so great. That's
awesome.
And
a lot of times, great example. I went to meet Boston networking events for years, a couple of years, excuse me. I never really got anything out of it. And then I just stopped going, right? I went on LinkedIn and I met somebody local who owns her own concierge business. She's had for almost 40 years now. I met her at a cafe and she said, hey, there's a Meet Boston event going on tomorrow night. I says, yeah, I haven't really gone. She said, well, I'll be there if you want to check it out. I go. She introduces me to 4 people that own venues that could be potential leads for catering. I've already gone to one of the venues and that was the best one event in the 2 years I've gone, right? Because I built a relationship with somebody and they introduced me to everybody. That's what this is about. She saw the energy in me. She saw my passion and she said, I want to stand behind this guy because I see what he's doing and I see his personality and I think it's contagious and other people are going to want to see that. And that, that's what it's all about.
Well, that's that like energy attracts like energy. Like people who want that, want to be around that.
Right.
And so it's just got magnetism. So I appreciate it. That's why I love this about you. How did you get there? It's a process, right? I think that it's a journey, right? It's a practice. So it's a constant reminder. So that's really cool. So if someone wanted to get into catering or creating some sort of food product, what would you tell them to focus on first?
Awareness. Create as much awareness as you possibly can. I did some notes here. Resilience. You just have to stick with it. You can't give up. And most important, think believing in yourself, believing in your product. Don't discount yourself. Work on building relationships. Work on being authentic. It's not just about food. It's about relationships and service we're providing. Create as much awareness as you possibly can and believe in yourself.
Nice.
That's really it,
Yeah.
I'd say when I first started, I acted as if I knew what I was doing. And then eventually I developed enough confidence to actually know what I'm doing. and to be able to speak about that and, stand behind my values,
Yeah.
when I met my mentor, he catered for 35 years. He obviously saw something in me that I didn't at that time.
Yeah.
And he's always
Do
stood
you do
behind me.
any do you
I have, I have briefly,
okay.
uh, but not as much. Yeah.
I feel
I,
like you
I
would
have,
be a really good mentor.
I've had people reach out to me on LinkedIn and I've given them some good
Yeah.
advice. I guess you could say that's mentoring. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, that makes sense. So just to wrap up, what are you focused on next? Is there some big goals that you have set for yourself for this year?
Really to continue doing what I'm doing. I market, I have to balance myself. So obviously I'm focusing on what gets me the most revenue at this point in this moment. Most recently, it's been, reaching out to office admins, office, managers. Hey, do you have anything coming up? I mean, right now it's spring. People are starting to ramp up their events.
Hmm.
I did a retirement party at the Children's Hospital yesterday. I think more will come from that. So it's getting my more awareness out there for my catering business.
Hmm.
I got 3 samples coming out today for the spoons. So obviously
Nice.
that's already, that's already in play. And I continue to do that. So really, I guess my main goal would be to get to the point where I have to hire more people.
Yeah.
I've got 3 employees from Honduras. The whole reason I made a plantain spoon is because they asked for it. I told them,
Yeah.
"Hey, we can make whatever flavor we want. What flavor would you like to see?" And they said, "Plantano." I said, "Done.
Phenomenal.
Let's make a plantain spoon." And then the employee reaches out to me. And that's the integrity of my business because at the end of the day, I don't hire people that I don't know. I don't go through a service agency for staffing. I
Yeah.
have 3 girls that are very loyal. In fact, I took them over to East Boston yesterday for a pedicure because they just take care of me. I'm going to take care of them. And, I'm asking them, hey, what are your ideas? What flavors do you like? And that kind of gets them involved where they get excited about it. Now they've got a plantain
Hmm.
spoon they love. Now I've got her, one of them saying, I'd love to incorporate these ingredients in it. I said, great, I'll grab the ingredients and you can mess with the recipe next week. Well, they want to make a coffee flavored spoon. Okay, let's play around with it next week. Getting them involved, I think, gets them more excited, and they're not just there to produce; they're involved in it. And I think, having them employed so that they can spend, the holidays with their families, that makes me feel proud that I'm supporting that. And I want to
Yeah.
do that for more people. So even if this gets to a point where it's all done by machine, there's going to be people in there doing stuff. It's always going to have people as part of the business. It's not just going to
Yeah.
be running through a machine and nobody there. Like I like to
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
people on my payroll.
No, that's awesome. I love that. I mean, it sounds like you're really, the culture of your business is important. So, which
Very,
makes sense given your personality. That's
absolutely.
great. So, Charlton, where can people find more information about you or Flavorfulz or connect with you? What's the best way to do that?
Well, www.charltonbeckercatering.com is the website you can go to for catering. We have an express order option on there, which is very convenient because platforms like Easy Cater is normally where people go to for that. So that's a good option. And then obviously flavorfulz.com where you can order your edible spoons online. You could literally have it the next day, even if you're in California. I do FedEx. You could order a sample pack featuring our 21 flavors. We have a savory and sweet line. We have a standard size, miniature size, and we have a gluten-free line and a vegan line. So we've got a lot of stuff.
Oh, I didn't realize you had a gluten-free line. I need to try that. I'm gluten-free.
We tried many recipes over the year, and finally I found
Yeah.
that paleo is the one that works
Yes.
the best because the main ingredient is almond flour. So it's not nut free, but the flavor of it is incredible. It's my favorite one.
Yeah. Almond flour
It's
is the
the
way to
way to
go.
go. It's the way to
Yep.
go. It creates a great flavor, really good
Hmm.
consistency.
And the
I
texture's
uh,
not weird.
I will send you a sample today. We just made them yesterday, actually. So
Thanks. Yeah,
you get a
I
you
didn't
get a
even
free
think that
sample
you had
pack.
that. Yay. Awesome. Well, Charlton, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure chatting with you about your business and getting to know you and your product. I see big things for you, so I can't wait.
Thank you. It was a pleasure
Yeah.
speaking with you, and I'm glad that I continuously followed up with you until we could get here.
I know, right? Way to go. Way to stick with it. Alrighty. Thank you.
Thank you, Aimee. Take care.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Louder Than Green. Every guest we feature and every story we share is a reminder that sustainable business is not just about what you do, it's about how you do it. I'm incredibly grateful for this community, for everyone building differently, leading with integrity, and turning up the volume on what matters most. You can find more episodes and join the conversation at www.dream.com. And remember, regeneration is a practice. Make yours heard. Do the work, share the mic, be louder than green.